Hello everyone, welcome back at my next video on a YouTube channel or any other platform on social media where I'm posting these videos. This time at the sequel or continuation of our crime and criminals and categories of crimes and categories of criminals. And this sequel is number 4, and it's basically conclusion, because this one is the 4 in this series. And this is about criminal justice vocabulary words. And I have to admit, this one is rather difficult and tricky, complicated, because these words are not used on everyday basis. But they are very important when you are listening to something about justice system or crimes or criminals, and series or movies from the crime environment. So it's very interesting. And we start also with basically that this system, its own set of terminology, and this vocab is key to comprehending discussions about law enforcement in English. First of all, what is law enforcement? Law enforcement is very official term, very formal term for basically police officers and police and all the authorities working with this kind of law enforcement system. We are going to go through all these vocab, which you can see around me. What is the only problem is that it is a little bit tricky, also with pronunciation. So just focus and take your time. Always just stop the video if you don't understand or if you need more time to pronounce. It's pretty tricky. The first, I want to actually start with defendant, which is the same like complainant in some terminologies, or plaintiff, or even respondent. These people, or this term, is used for the person who has been accused of breaking the law and is being tried in court. So you can use defendant or demandant or respondent or complainant or plaintiff. So all these words are basically synonymical in the meaning. They are used in different regions and in different situations or circumstances differently, but it has the same meaning basically. The next one is the verb try. We know the basic meaning of try, even the kids and even like learners of English language, just beginners can understand. But when we are in the justice system, it means to be on trial, to be in front of the court, to be in that process of a trial. So the other term for the verb try means conclude or judge. So judge, we know judge as a noun. That's that person who is actually sitting at the trial and who is going to actually do the final conclusion or decision or resolution. But judge as the verb means to try. The next one is incarceration, which is difficult, but it means to be imprisoned, being in the jail in American English, or in prison. So incarceration is very formal term for being in prison, to be prisoner, imprisoned. The next one is suspect. A person who the police or authorities think may be guilty of a crime. When somebody is suspect, there is a whole process until actually this person might be guilty or not guilty. So guilty means that it's already somebody who is convicted by court, but just suspect is somebody basically by police officers or law enforcement officers actually denominated that this guy, it could be, or this woman could be actually that kind of criminal, and he's just suspect or she's suspect. Then a contest in this term, or in this terminology, is a conflict or dispute. So contest means that kind of situation when, okay, there are two parties, one says this and one says the other stuff, and then there must be contest together with, of course, law authorities and court and law enforcement and police and lawyers and advocates. The next one is basically the other party, or the counterparty of defendant or complainant or plaintiff, and that one is prosecutor or the prosecution. This is the party from the government or from the actually authorities, which usually in a very severe cases, this prosecution or prosecutor usually actually prosecute or put and file the case against the defendant. So these terms are very legal, very, very difficult, I know, but, well, sometimes it's good to know what we are talking about or what we are reading. The next one is sue. Sue is the verb, and sue means to litigate or prosecute. It means that when there is a trial going on, and when one party or the other party is actually going against the other one, or there is a prosecutor or prosecution of the state, then there is somebody who is going to be sued and somebody who is going to sue. So sue is this verb, this term. And now, actually, there are many terms or expressions in English for a lawyer or counselor or jurist. It's quite formal and not very much used, or attorney. And there is, in the British system, barrister and solicitor. Barrister means sort of lawyer or advocate at the higher court, and he actually or she can go to the court and can defend the defendant, or the other party can actually be at the court and do something, and it's sort of higher level of lawyer. But in a British system exists also solicitor. Solicitor is a lower level of actually counselor or lawyer. And this one doesn't have a full right to be actually at the court and to be defending the defendant or the client, basically. So these terms are very tricky and difficult, I understand, but I wanted to conclude also this one because you can actually encounter with lawyers, barristers, solicitors, counselors, jurists, or attorneys. And then you have a little bit mixed up. Attorney and lawyer is one and the same. Attorney is a very formal term for that. And many times when you are actually meeting some people from the law offices, you have their attorney. Attorney is that term, you know. Then the next one is a bail. Bail is a sum of money given to a court to secure a suspect's temporary release from custody. It ensures they will attend their court hearing. Bail is this money or the funds which the judge or the authorities actually say that, okay, well, there is somebody suspect, there is going to be a real process at the trial, and well, we don't need to keep him in the custody or in the prison, so there is a bail. This is the sum of money. It doesn't need to be actually ordered, like the judge can say no bail, yeah, so the person is going to stay. It really depends on circumstances. So bail is the sum of money. It can be very low amount, it can be very high amount. It depends on the. Of course, there is actually, I think, especially in American system, there is always taken into account the financial situation of the suspect or this person who is going to be prosecuted. Then there is taken into account the level of severity of this crime, and so on and so on. Parole, which is very difficult to pronounce, parole, is the conditional release of a prisoner before the full sentence has been served. They must adhere to certain conditions. So this parole, a lot of people actually serve already some years, for instance, 4 or 5 years for sexual assault or for some rape or for something, for murder even. And then because of the system or because of the good behavior or this person is a good soldier in a prison, there can actually be given to this person a parole. It means that it's a release conditional. Of course, they are going to monitor him or her, but he can go after some years served or maybe months served, in the case that he was a good prisoner. Probation is a period of supervised living in the community, typically as an alternative to incarceration. The individual must follow certain rules and conditions. Probation is this period, actually period of time, which actually you have to follow the rules and do a lot a lot of stuff for community. And this probation period basically is usually for milder crimes, for people who maybe financial fraud or maybe just for some assault without any death involved. So this probation is very good because there is no incarceration, and we know what is incarceration, or there is no imprisonment, but the individual is monitored and must serve and be under certain conditions. The next one is arraignment. Arraignment. It's a court proceeding where the defendant is formally charged with crime and asked to respond by pleading guilty, not guilty, or no contest. So arraignment is this court proceeding, is this trial basically, what's going on. And this defendant, so the person who is actually charged or not like prosecuted, is formally charged with a crime and must respond. So he can actually, or she can say in front of the court, oh, I'm guilty, I'm not guilty. And then there is another process with lawyers and attorneys, or no contest. So I'm not going to actually interfere. Contest, as I said, this is this conflict, this dispute. So if the person wants to go into the trial or not, there is always a different proceedings. Acquittal or acquittal, that's the legal judgment that officially and formally clears a defendant of criminal charges. Acquittal is acquittal. It's very difficult to pronounce sometimes, so be careful. Acquittal means that it's a legal resolution and judgment of the court that, okay, this person, this defendant, has no criminal charges. Like, it's like void. It's like a null. So basically, because of the arraignment and the trial, there is a conclusion that this person definitely couldn't have committed this crime, or there is no real evidence and the court actually finds this person not guilty. The next one is warrant, and warrant is a legal paper that the judge gives to a law enforcement officers so they can make an arrest, search a place, or do something else. So warrant is basically very, very severe and very important tool how to actually search a suspect's property, search some place which there is a suspicion that there might be something, make an arrest of this person, so arrest this person, take him or her to custody, or do something else, because of course the person can have a lot of other property, buildings, facilities, and so on, and there is this warrant necessary to search. Indictment, very difficult to pronounce, is a formal charge or accusation of a major crime, usually brought by a grand jury. So it means this indictment is very formally actually charge, very formal charge, very formal to say that there is a major crime and there is accusation of a major crime of this person. Indictment is pretty important and very severe tool how to actually legally and officially say, okay, this person is charged and is accused of this. But there must be still arraignment, the whole process, what's going on, yes? Indictment. Conviction, when a jury or judge in a court of law decides that someone is guilty of a crime and makes that decision official. So conviction is already piece of paper, or actually papers or something like certificate, basically, when jury or a judge says, okay, this person is officially guilty and there is a real crime and there is a real punishment. So conviction is already like a final saying of the court, okay, this person gets some punishment or penalty because he or she is guilty. Sentence is basically the punishment or the penalty assigned to a defendant found guilty by a court. So sentence is this term for punishment or this level of penalty when the person is already convicted and gets some sentence. It might be incarceration, imprisonment for this and this years. It might be something else. This sentence could be basically also probation in some very mild and very minor cases of crime, and so on, and so on. Appeal is when the case is looked again and the parties ask for a change to the official ruling. So, of course, in democratic system, the person has the right to appeal to higher court, to another court, and at the end, Supreme Court. Appeal is this kind of process when, okay, like I don't agree with this punishment, I don't agree with this conviction, and I'm going to appeal together with my lawyers and my team of, advocates and attorneys. But of course, it's a process, and there is a real process, how many times you can appeal and what can you get. Many times it happens that when the person appeals, sometimes this appealing court, this higher court or another court, decides even with a severe and much higher level of penalty. So it's also, it really depends on the case and on the circumstances. And the last one, I think we have pardon. Pardon is when the government says that a person is not guilty of a crime or other legal wrongdoing, as if the act never happened. Be careful, pardon is not basically acquittal. Acquittal means that there is the real process, and at the end of this process, the judge or the jury says, okay, this person is free of all criminal charges, which was at the beginning actually put on the person. Pardon is coming from the institution like prime minister, president, or the government itself, and can say that, okay, this person will not go to prison because of this and this and this, or if this person is already imprisoned and already convicted, he also or she can get a pardon because this and this and this is happening. So there are many, many different circumstances when the person gets a pardon, usually when maybe dying in the prison, very old person, or when the court or when the attorneys find something else, when there is another kind of level of evidence or proof, or when the person, yes, I think there are the cases when the person actually didn't do a really major crime, because the law could have been changed in some system, or they found out that basically this crime was not such a severe character or nature. So there are many, many different circumstances. These criminal justice vocabulary words will further equip you to understand the intricacies and complications of legal discussions in English. So conclusion is, understanding the vocab used in the criminal justice field can help you navigate American or British cultural contexts, from movies to news reports, with greater ease. It can also provide insights into the American or British legal system and societal norms. Remember, language is a powerful tool that can aid you in comprehending complex subjects. Keep expanding your vocab to boost your language proficiency and overall understanding of the world around you. So I would conclude, this video is pretty long, I know, but I want it to be as exact as possible. I would conclude that when you really understand these terms and vocab, you will be much, much easier to listen to some podcast of the crime series or criminal justice or something like this, or when watching a Netflix series or any other series with a kind of thrilling or thrillers or crimes, or where the law enforcement police officers are involved. It always helps when you understand these terms. Okay, thank you very much. See you next time.